is that that idea of some people totally walking away from all of this and basically going back into nature again and living off the land or living in the forest, more that type of scenario. And then we have this highly technological human race basically that goes in the total opposite direction. And again, I think that this is a theme that has been expressed in a lot of sci-fi, where you basically have the wilderness folk and the more so to speak civilized people, and that might very well be a possibility here. What do you think, AJ?
Well, I think that is probably the two roads that are going to open up before us at this point. There are going to be those people who go into that system, and then I think there's a lot of people who have those feelings and those yearnings to return back to living more in harmony with the planet, more in harmony with nature, and just living properly is what I would call it.
Mm.
So I do see that, but it's not a matter of having to just give up technology completely. I think it's all about breaking that dependency that they're creating, because the whole resource control about with this whole system that's what it is. It's all about resource control. And if you can control the resources, you can control the people. So again, if we can find new resources, and they're here, I think all the solutions are here right now. They just need to be implemented. And they're not going to do it for us, that's for sure.
Mm.
But there are the solar systems. There are the composting toilets. There are gray water systems. There's ways to, get well water and get good water and stuff, which is extremely important.
Yeah.
So there's all these ways. You even mentioned to me in the email when we were going back and forth before setting up the interview about straw bale houses.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's all these other ways that are healthy for us, healthy for the planet, and it's just all around good. It's just a matter of coming off of that system, coming out of their dependency. As far as the whole money thing is going, there's the whole town in Ithaca, New York, that's created their own money system, and right there, that's a perfect example, and there's a solution.
Yeah.
In regards to the whole money game.
And I'm just thinking of, again, if that is something that will be allowed, though, because again, we know the fascism that is involved here in regarding people that have their own ideas about things, and they want to provide solutions. But if it goes against the current paradigm, and if it goes against working in favor for the current system, that's potentially areas that are going to be suppressed, or they're going to be basically in some way, other way, it's going to be made illegal or what have you. And one question that I did wanted to ask you was that idea of basically with having said that, do you think that there's anywhere left that we can go in order to, let's say we talk about land or region or places where we actually physically can go to get away from the system? Because what we might potentially be looking at here is if we have a highly technological infrastructure in place with surveillance, with all that stuff, that might potentially mean that we're talking about a global prison planet in that sense, and it might be very difficult to actually get away from it all. Have you thought about that at all? Anything?
Yeah, it's all that technology that they have at their disposal can be used in all kinds of ways. I kind of feel that if things, when they start turning things into a certain way, if the societies start to collapse by design, of course, economically and stuff, I think most of their they might have all the technology, but they certainly don't have the manpower. And I think a lot of their attention would be more focused on populated areas, city areas, suburban type of areas. Maybe they want to go out in the mountains and and get whoever's out there. But I know when I go out and I drive through the country, in the mountainous areas where there's not too many people and there's a lot of land, it boggles my mind that they think they're able to really lock everything down.
Yeah, yeah.
In a way, I think what's happening is that it's almost like a poker's game of bluff that's played on us as well. But
how do you mean? Elaborate on that.
Well, if they can get everybody to start thinking in a certain mindset, even if there's the people out there who don't know about what's going on, and then there's us who do know about what's going on, but even at the same time, I feel that there are certain quote-unquote researchers out there who are not into it for the reasons that people like us may think that they are. I think that there's something else going on in regards to shaping people's minds, getting them down into this emotional turmoil and into a negative mind and stuff. And oh, look, it's coming, blah 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 blah. Get angry and all that stuff. And I fell into that kind of thing for a little bit, and I know that it shuts a person down. It keeps a person from seeing that, okay, there's all this stuff going on, and then your attention gets focused in on that. So I think that there's that kind of stuff is going on with certain researchers, and I think some of the old time researchers really who aren't with us anymore were pointing those kind of tactics out.
Mm-hmm.
And William Cooper, Mae Brussel, people like that who were able to kind of see certain things and see some of the newer people who came onto the scene and point out their shortcomings and their flaws and say, wait a second, something's not right here, because this is more like a consistent kind of flaw. It's not just a mistake.
And also I think I'd wanted to add to that I also feel very much that it's also very much up to the individual who are immersed in that particular information flow, if you will, that if they feel that it isn't providing the solutions or what I'm getting at is that I think, or I hope that they're aware enough of themselves and their own reactions, so that if they fall into that area of feeling depressed or feeling very much taken down by the information, they should realize that that's the first step or first signal that should tell them that, okay, maybe it's time to move on and look at some other different areas here. Because I very much agree with you, and I possibly think that that's the case, what you're talking about, but I also feel very much that's also a sign that people are very much sheepish, so to speak, in their mentality. They're still very much reliant and dependent on what someone else is telling them, or that they look up to one person and one person alone for to tell them about everything about in the world and how things really are. And hopefully the lesson, if you will, that they learn is to, okay, I can't really trust, or in that sense, anyone else really, what they think about the world. This is up to me, and I need to form my own worldview and then move on accordingly at the right time in order to discover new areas and discover new things about myself. That's how I see it. But I agree with you, AJ.
Yeah, for sure. I call that the Messiah complex. The people want they want a leader to follow, and I think that's an old part of the old mind control stuff that came along with religion. So I call that the Messiah complex. We're looking for always a leader to follow, like Ron Paul was going to save everybody, and people put millions of dollars into this man, and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
They could put that millions of dollars into other areas that would have maybe produced something. So it makes me wonder about who's behind these types of people and what their real intentions are when things like that go down.
Yeah, it could be all a attention grabber, if you will, or
right.
something to kind of absorb the good intentions of many people who actually do want change, if we can use that terminology in these days. But yeah, I agree with JJ.
Right, for sure. And the whole thing is that it's very important to get educated about what's going on here, but I think it also in itself can become a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to, I think, to understand the way to bring about solutions, you have to understand the problems, because if you don't understand the disease, you can't bring a healing for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So ultimately, this disease is the New World Order. So I think it's essential. I think it's part of the well-rounded education of any man or woman in these times to know about this New World Order. But at the same time, it's so large and there's so much to it, and a lot of the information has not been compiled. So when you're looking for it, you're always, finding little bits and pieces with a lot of stuff that you already learned from many different sources. So it becomes like this sort of consuming type of thing. And I think that's the danger in it as well, is that we can get our attention so focused on all of what they're doing and what the agenda is and all the ins and outs of it, because there's so much to it. It's kind of like I kind of see it symbolically as just watching this bomb come in on you.
Yeah.
And it's going to land right where you're standing, but you just keep watching it and not getting out of the way.
Well, exactly. It's like a deer in the headlights in a way. You're like kind of mesmerized by the insanity, but also like the unbelievable, I don't know what you call it, scenario that we're seeing kind of unfolding before our eyes, and exactly, it's a bit hypnotic almost, and that might be one of the purposes of it as well. There's like a self-destruction mechanism or machine that basically is looking to drag as many people with it down as possible.
Yeah, for sure. But it's really important, I think, to understand the dark side of life as well and look at it. Michael DeSaren's really covered, I think, that stuff very well when he's come on your show and spoken about these types of things, about the psychological dark nature of things.
Yes.
It's important to look at it. But what is the one quote that just came up for me? Something about staring into the abyss for so long, the abyss starts staring into you.
Yeah.
If But more recently, was reading through Des Griffin's Fourth Reich of the Rich, and I came across this quote that he had in here, which was from Lady Queenborough in her book Occult Theocracy. And I think this right here is sort of like a doorway in regards to all this stuff. It's like, okay, you've been in these rooms looking around at all this stuff. Now here's a doorway out. And this little quote here that he pulled from our book is, a mind that is positive cannot be controlled. For the purpose of occult dominion, minds must therefore be rendered passive and negative in order that control may be achieved. Minds consciously working to a definite end are a power, and power can oppose power for good or for evil. The scheme for world dominion might be doomed by the recognition of this principle alone.
And isn't that what we see in the world now playing out? Keeping you passive, negative, and really helpless, and that is what makes people dependent. They turn on the TV or turn to the tabloid news, and again it's all about death, destruction, and mayhem, and it has been for so long, obviously, and yet at the same time, then we can put that into context of what I believe many well-meaning people are researching, and that has to do with the New World Order conspiracy, what is happening, what is going down on that level. And I feel there's two sides to that. One side is that it's a critical alarm bell wake-up process that a lot of people that are researching these types of areas are providing, if you will, for people that are just waking